Strength of America podcast.
Welcome to episode 25 of the Strength of America podcast. I'm Bob Davis.
Bobby Davis.
I want to talk to you as it's starting to heat up. We're really nice here in Arizona right now. In Phoenix, we're actually about 76 degrees. However, in 3 days, it's going to be 106. So it's kind of an awakening of, hey, let's get ready for summer camp. So that's what we want this podcast to be about, is whether you're taking part in our camps or football camp or other sports camps going on throughout Arizona or wherever you're at, preparing for it is so important going out for it. I mean, what we try and do is all of our kids that take part in our camp, initially, when they get signed up, we'll start sending things out a week ahead of time, letting them know what to do. And so what we're going to do is go over our main top tips we have for you that if you're involved in our strength and speed camps, you must take part in this. If you're getting ready for a soccer camp or any sports camp, just going out to camp without preparing for it, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're going to have a tough time keeping up with what's going on. If your body's not working as well, your mind can't work as well, you get a couple hours into camp, and after half an hour, we've seen kids get through warm-up time, and they've got to sit down. They can't go through it. They're lightheaded. So I think one of the big tips we want you to do, one of the first things that we do, is we want to teach them how to eat and how to hydrate. And we're going to do that throughout our summer camp. But whether you're taking part or not, we're going to have a link below you can go to that will give you our two basic things to help you with that. One is our fuel chart, the Strength of America fuel chart. What you do with that is that your athlete, we want them to fill out one day what they typically eat and drink. Because preparing and getting them ready for it is so important for that. So they're going to write down every meal that they eat, every snack, whatever they're eating, drinking, if it's water, if it's soda, whatever it is. We want them to understand what they're doing and how to get better. If you're coming to our summer camp, that form you're bringing with you on the first day, you've already got it filled out. We're not then getting ready. We want you to learn how to do this before you even get to camp. After that, we're going to have our Strength of America nutritional guidelines, the general guidelines that are out there for athletics on how many calories and what kind of protein and carbohydrates and fat, and give you some sample meals as well. So my first tip going out is the fuel. We've got to learn how to eat and hydrate. So our fuel is the first thing, and you can click that link and get that. What's another topic we want them to learn coming out to camp and get ready for?
I think a lot of it, definitely in the summer, if they're coming out, is to not break from routine. Summer camp allows them routine to train and all that. A lot of kids, they get to a summer break, sleeping habits become terrible, food habits become terrible, and not necessarily that they're just eating bad. A lot of times they're sitting more. They start sitting more, hang out more. You start eating more and more because of just veg eating or board eating and stuff like that. But hydration becomes poor. You just get out of the habit. You stop moving so much and sitting more. They just get bad routine. So I think the big part of it forces them to get into a good routine, because if they don't get in a good routine or more of a normal routine like during the school year, then they just feel awful coming to camp. Yeah. So and they won't do that too many times, because it's going to be pretty hard on them if they continue to do that day after day. So it allows us to reestablish some routine with them, make sure they're sleeping right, they're hydrating, they're eating. And on top of that is just being a voice each day to make sure that they rebuild that habit or maintain that habit and get better with it. So
yeah, and that routine is essential. We see it as adults. What we do on the weekdays, we've got our schedules. We're working, you got your 9 to 5 or whatever schedule hours you're working. I don't think I've ever worked 9 to 5, but 5:30 to 6:30 at night, whatever your routine is, you're in a habit of getting the meals, getting going. You get to weekend, and how many of you, well, all of a sudden now you've skipped breakfast or you've gone to this, or your kids then now are sleeping till noon, and then they're going out, and they only get 2 meals on that day on a Saturday instead of their 5 meals a day. So your fuel chart, getting that figured out, getting into a routine, now breaking it down. How much protein they have. What we're looking for with our athletes is we want them to do 80 to 100% of their body weight in grams of protein. And right away you go, wow, that sounds like an awful lot. Well, when you break it down, when you look at the nutritional guideline, the information we put out there for you guys and you'll download it, that's not much. Our younger guys, we're only talking about 15 grams of protein in each of those meals spread out throughout the day evenly. Our bigger kids, we're talking 20, 25 grams. But you get 5, 6 a day. Now you've got 100, 150 grams a day going in. 200 for our big guys going out there. And it's got to be consistent going out. You can't skip breakfast or have your Pop-Tarts at breakfast and expect to come to camp and be ready to work. Because your body's gone now 8, 10, sometimes 12 hours without anything. And what you're putting in your body is just carbohydrates. I don't care if it's fruit, which is great for you. Unless you get that balance of protein to help establish and keep those blood sugars leveled out and keep the energy maintained longer, you spike and you drop back down. So getting ready for camp is an essential part of that. So that's that third part now is, okay, now you've got the fuel chart figured out. You've got your routine. We've got to get in a routine of our eating, our meals, our hydrating, sleep. Well, that's the other part. We've got to make sure now is our protein. How much protein? And that's a big part of it. How about sleep? What do they need to do for how often? And can they catch up on weekends? Or
So I think we're trying to catch up at a point. We're already behind. I'd say, it's not always ideal for everybody to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep every single night. Things come up, things happen. But I'd say if you can find a point in your day to where maybe you didn't sleep so well the night before, maybe find a time to get like a quick 30-minute power nap or something like that. Don't really want to do a whole lot longer. Not a lot of people have time to do a whole lot longer, but start doing more than that, you start getting real groggy, waking up, don't feel good. But get a little 30-minute, it helps you feel a little more rejuvenated. You can start adding on some of that sleep from before. But just try to keep consistent with routines. I know the summer is a hard time, especially for kids, because now they can stay up late. They're like, well, I still got 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And it's like, well, I went to bed at 1 o'clock, and then I woke up around like 10 o'clock. And it's like, well, camp's in a couple hours, now you got to eat a meal, and you should have had a few meals, 2 to 3 meals by then, at least 2. And so it's, you never want to try to get in the habit of this weekend I'll build up. Because if you're having to build up on the weekend and try and get more and more and more, you're going to start cutting time out of your day to where you can be awake, moving around, getting a meal, hydrating, and preparing. So I feel like you just start digging yourself in a hole there, or a ditch. So back to the carbs, like he was talking about, the apples are great, different things like that. But we also got to know, kind of like when we used to do the rock and refuels, the simple carbs in that, dextrose and different things like that, and the sugars and stuff are good, but more post-workout. I don't really want to do too much of that before workout because I'm going to spike and crash a little bit. So I want to make sure that if before I'm shooting for some oatmeal or something like that, it's a little more slow digestion. Some of those things going on a decent little bit before 90 minutes or so, 60 to 90. But just knowing what to eat when can I benefit from, some of the bad foods with the sugar and different things like that. Because I can use that after workout. My body's depleted. I got to rebuild that health meter there. That way I can get back up and get to feeling better. And then I go back to my normal meals after that. But,
how about water? How much water they should be drinking?
Our big thing is for a lot of years has been half your body weight in ounces of water. So as they're going through, and usually we include that, but it's not usually that's a total for the day. If you're drinking only half your body weight, and that's including exercise when you're sweating, that's not enough. We're more so talking about when you are not in exercise or not immediately following exercise. That's what you're trying to shoot for. I know another one that's come out recently from different people here is 0.69 times your body weight. That's what you want for your day. So go with that. If you're doing a lot more, you can't really go too wrong with the old gallon of water a day, especially if you're in the summer, it's real hot and you're exercising a lot. Try to get that in you. But the big thing that I talk about these days, it's not always hydration. I have my football kids at the beginning of their game, 1 or 2 games the first year, and I see a lot of other teams do pretty bad with cramping. Is like, well, I drank a ton of water. It's like sometimes it's too much water. And a lot of times we're saying, don't eat salt. Salt's bad for you. Soda's bad for you. It's not, because it's actually going to help your body hydrate. It's a part of electrolytes and different things like that. So you got to make sure that sodium and magnesium and some of those things like that are built in. Sprinkle some salt in your food throughout the day. Or throw a little bit in your water with a lemon and some stuff like that.
Yeah, salted nuts. Get some stuff, trail mix, put some things into it. Those are great.
Find ways to sneak it in. You'll feel a whole lot better. Your performance will feel better. Then you won't be just sucking down water and letting it flow right out of you with all the good nutrients. So you got to keep them in your body so you can utilize them.
Well, what's on the other thing to take a look at is your caffeine levels too and stuff. And again, for most of us, and yes, there's some good things, bad things about caffeine, although, caffeine going in to do it. However, what we've always taught our athletes is if you're getting your meals steady throughout the day, you're hydrating well, and you're getting your sleep at night, you don't need to have that extra boost of caffeine to get you through those workouts and get those things into it. You need those because we've depleted. I mean, we go through work schedules or you're sleeping, you're working crazy, and I'm getting 4 hours sleep at night because I have projects and things going on, a little boost or something to keep you going, some coffee or whatever, fine. But we're talking about these athletes, these kids. There's no reason they can't get their steady 5 to 6 meals in a day.
Yeah.
And again, they're small amounts. If you do that, you don't need that extra boost. And keep in mind the caffeine also starts to dehydrate the body as well. So you've got to balance it out with even more water. So for most of them, if we just stick to the basics, that's what we've got to do is that. But I can tell you, as you fill out the food chart, one of the other things you'll learn, our kids fill out all the time, is we're not getting enough calories. That's a big thing. And we tend to think as kids, although they're okay, their kids are going to, they eat what they want, everything's going to be okay. However, we found just through the years, and we hear it from parents all the time and from kids, and we see it on the field, those that are eating consistently and hydrating and getting their 5 meals a day, their snacks, their protein consistently and hydrating, those kids are feeling great. And we know it right away, day one in camp. We'll have kids come out the first couple of days, and when we've got a couple hundred kids that we're working with, and no, not all at once, if you sign up for it, don't worry about that, in our different camps, but we have, say, 40 working out at one time, and I've got 2 of them that after warm-ups have to lie down on the side. That workout wasn't too intense. I had 38 of the kids that ate, that hydrated, got their sleep. They were ready day one. We're not trying to kill them. They weren't prepared, and that's what this is all about, how to prepare for your summer camps. And we ask all of them, how many of you got your 5 meals yesterday with protein? And how many of you got half your body weight in ounces of water? Great. What do you think the 2 guys laying on the ground? Do you think they had their hands up at any point for those 2 questions? Never. So it helps them figure out right away, you know, I need to get back on. And we don't see them that way any day after that in camp because it hits and they get it figured out.
A lot of times I'm going through and it's like, kind of like the sleeping you're talking about, you can't just build up on the weekend. So if I do bad on one day earlier in my week or things like that, it's probably going to affect me for the next day and maybe even the following day, but for sure the next day. So we got to think like a domino effect. If I don't do good, it's not just going to affect me for that one bad day. It's going to be a little daunting on you that next day unless you start to really kick it up that evening. Maybe it won't follow you 2 days after, but just one. So you got to make sure you're going to be on top of that stuff. I realize more and more. I've experimented with some of the supplement stuff after I've been done with competing and stuff, just because I've been curious about some things and what works and what doesn't. So I get questions. And I never used to do caffeine, think about it, and I do more now. And I got to a point where I was taking drinks and pre-workout and different things like that, you know. And I was like, you know, this is pretty bad that you get to a point where you become so tolerant of it that much caffeine doesn't affect you. You realize you got a problem. So I tone that down a lot. I still do caffeine here and there, but I don't do anywhere near as much. And you know, most of the time, if I'm having to do caffeine is a stimulant. It's like a supplement. So a supplement again is if we're not doing something right, it's aiding to help with something else. So if I'm having to use caffeine, that's because I'm not sleeping very well, I'm not eating very well, I'm not hydrating very well. And so we got to kind of, especially when we go through that fuel chart, when we mark all that stuff down, you can start to see, you know, you can see your meals and time slots by each meal. You know, when did I eat this one versus this one, or maybe it's 5 hours apart. And you're right, sleep, how much sleep did you get the night before? Your water, how much water did you get? You can kind of put that all together, and you can see right away on your own without being a nutritionist or anything like that. We're not nutritionists, we're not certified or anything like that. I am working on a mini certification, but outside that, it's just, you see blank on paper. You know, we know it's bad, we know it's good. Okay? It's pretty plain and simple. Just like when we're going through, if the lift looks bad, it's pretty, you know it looks bad. It either looks good or bad, there's no in between. So going through, you can see right away, when you look at that paper, it's like, wow, you know, maybe I was really good here, but we're down here, and like, wow, that was really terrible. So it just gets you to see, and we all think we're doing great until we write it on paper, and then we're really shocked about what we're doing. So
we see that all the time. And I can tell you, when they come out for our 7-week camp over the summer, like I said, day one, they've got that chart, shows what they've got. We then mark down, we make notes on it about, you know, the great, you got a star on this meal, we did this, here's why, here's what the proteins are, we'll teach them as they go. Most of the kids will then have to fill out another one for the 2nd week. The goal is throughout that summer, they learn how to eat and hydrate. And I can tell you, after doing this over 30 years, at 29 here with Strength of America in Arizona, then my time in Nebraska, those kids now, I still hear kids all years later from parents, man, Johnny, he's not doing soda anymore at all, or he's doing this, or he's hydrating. You know what, he makes sure every time we eat, where's our protein? You know, where's that protein in that meal, and get it. And that's what we know we succeeded. Those kids understand how to do it because, you know, they're going to be the healthy ones later on as we get into it. But preparing, I can tell you, listening to the last couple of years with our monsoon team, for example, it's one of the great things we've heard from them is, you know, those kids got done with the summer conditioning. The coach was happy, excited, and frustrated at the same time because now his first week of practice, which we know what happens in the first week of football practice, he had to run 2 different practices. He had half the team that conditioned, did their work over the summer with our program. They were already working on skills. They were in shape. They were ready to go. The rest of them had to get in shape. So they were a week, 2 weeks behind of even getting into the basics. They weren't still ready, but 2 weeks in, they were better conditioned, and now they could merge into a practice time. Condition, that's what it's for, getting themselves ready, learning how to eat and hydrate. That's what most of them didn't know. They didn't even eat. They'd come to practice, and they either ate a big meal or they didn't eat anything else because they didn't want to throw up. What would happen? Most times, either dry heaving or they were throwing up because they had something in or not. We will talk about the milk. Make sure they're not drinking milk just before they go to football practice or just before speed camp or anything else outside. There's nothing worse than 100 degrees outside. We're doing our work, stuff going on, and that milk is churning in the stomach. That's a mess to clean up afterwards. So keep that part. Another tip we kind of go off that's important in conditioning, getting ready for it, is what kind of shoes do you wear? Because we get ready for football, get ready for summer camp, we do speed work, volleyball camp. You get the new shoes, you're all set. Make sure you break those in before you go. Don't put the brand new pair on and then go out to conditioning and work it on practice for a couple of hours. Because then you got blisters, you got everything else. All kinds of things. So getting those ready.
I think also talking about that real quick, the type of shoes you want for training also, when you talk about things, a lot of people like the runners, they're comfortable, they're great, but runners are meant for one direction. Okay, what's that direction? That is straight forward. So when we do our change of direction or lateral work or even our jumping and stuff, those runners have a little bit of an arch in the shoe. It kind of gives some support, some cushion, some comfort from the impact as they're running. So try, but yeah, we do a lot, and a lot of our kids and stuff too, is when you're in the store, try doing a shuffle or a cut step. Try to plan real quick and see. You'll notice if the shoe right here, if you make a cut step, it'll give back. It'll give you support on the outside of the shoe. If not, I have runners that literally my foot will slide off the sole. So you want to make sure you have the right shoe for what you're doing. Runners are great, they're comfortable. On our days where I stand a lot, they're great. But I know when I go to training, I'm not going to do that because I can't perform. I can't get better if I don't have the right shoe, first of all. So
there's two things you look at with the shoes. Like you talked about, what you're actually going to get ready for. If you're getting ready for track practice and all, that's great. You're getting ready for a speed and agility thing. You've got to have some lateral support with it as well. Because we've had kids go through the years, and they think it's kind of cool, but it's expensive. You work on all of our cuts. We teach them every time you change directions, drop the hips, make contact, explode right away. Well, when they go in there and they're not ready for that lateral movement in that shoe, it can't handle it. We've had shoes just rip the seams out of the side of these shoes. Maka and some of the guys in the past, powerful athletes, they hit, they drop correctly, and they push, and it just goes out and shreds those shoes. That's expensive to learn that way. Get some lateral support, and you'll know what they are as they go out to them, and they're called cross trainers or whatever they're going into it. But the next step, I want to say, that's even more important to me is keeping those bones healthy in the feet. So we teach them, we want to lace the shoes from the toe all the way up. Almost always, have your athlete check your kid's shoe. When they come down from school or back from practice, check the shoe before they go out for it. If the tongue of the shoe, right, or right at the base of the toe, if you can pull that lace up from the bottom up and there's room, wiggle room, that shoe's not tied tight. It's kind of like practicing in flip-flops. So if you've got a great cross support, the shoes are great, but you're not tied tight, and you make that hard contraction, that foot still slides. Now, the shoe may be okay because it's got reinforcement. The problem is the bones in the feet. Kids make a hard contraction and push across without those shoes tied. Bones slide, and we've seen bones actually snap in the feet from that. So have those laced tight, have that support all the way up. Just like if they've got an ankle brace, they have that ankle support that laces up, and you got all that room in there, it's not pulled tight. It looks good, but it's a waste of time.
It's like my boys' basketball. Make sure if you're using it, I see them with a big old brace on, and their shoes are not laced tight. You can see their foot wiggle around. It's like, it's cool. They think it's cool, but if you have a brace and you have ankle problems, you want to make sure that that structure down there is tight and stable. If your foot's moving around in a shoe that's not tight and laced up, then why are you even wearing a brace, first of all? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they wonder why they have ankle problems.
Yeah.
You have support. Well, number one, your probably mechanics of how you land are incorrect.
Yeah.
Now you get into a shoe or a brace that's not lace supportive, and you have those poor mechanics. That's why it goes. That's a waste of time.
Yeah.
So you got your fuel chart. We've got to make sure we're getting in a routine. We're getting enough protein. We're getting enough calories.
Sleep, hydration.
We're making sure we're staying steady with that. We're hydrating with at least half their body weight in ounces of water. Now, again, when you was talking before, just quick thing back to it, that gallon of water, my high school guys, the big guys, that's great. But if my athlete weighs 60 pounds, doesn't need to carry around and drink an entire gallon of that, because that's, again, the next problem. So my big brother does it. Oh, great. Your big brother's 220. You weigh 60 pounds.
You're throwing a lot of salt with that.
Yeah. Now you talk about wonder why you cramp or why things happen. And again, when you're cramping, the muscles can't handle the stress. What's going to take a chance of injury? Right there. You're not ready for it. So that's the next part going on to. What else we got? Some fun things, getting them ready.
I think outside of that, also the shoes, when we talk about training and cross-trainer for shoes and speed and agility, it also works great for lifting. A lot of people I know back in the old day, they used to lift in a lot of Converse and stuff like that, and chucks. And the reason for that is because the foot's flat. They got a flat surface to the ground. So now if I'm squatting, I'm lunging, doing anything, my foot is in more contact with the ground. I got a better surface to push from. I got better roots into the ground. If my foot's taken away at the middle, okay, I'm not as stable. I can't put as much force in the ground. So I've had kids come to me before and they think it's weird to lift in chucks or this and that. And it's not weird. I mean, I don't want you to speak majority of them, but I have some kids that basketball stuff do some barefoot training stuff, and I'll have them go and check it out with a deadlift, the squat, one leg stuff. That way they can feel their whole foot on the ground, and they can really work on kind of that supportive structure down there a little bit. So,
see, and that goes a good point that, again, they've got lifting shoes, but you don't have to spend, your 14-year-old athlete that's going to start in a strength program, get things going in there. You don't have to spend $200 for a pair of lifting shoes for that.
Yeah, those lifting shoes, by the way, I gave mine to my buddy. If you have ankle mobility, that's another topic. You don't need them. I like a flat shoe. A pair of chucks is great, or barefoot. So, and if they have to wear that, then that means they're going to work on some ankle mobility also. So,
yeah, so get that. Don't spend that because they're going to outgrow them anyway. So get the basics, what they need. And again, understanding basic levels where they go. You get advanced, we get into it. That's like all the advanced things you can buy on all these supplements and all that stuff. I can tell you for most of these kids, again, they got the most efficient bodies they're going to have their entire life. If you help them understand the sleeping, they're hydrating, they're eating correctly, getting all that balance as well, and they're training right, they're going to respond. You don't have to buy any of that supplementation. So making sure that's there and keeping in, that's the key. Just like special shoes or anything. The only thing I'd say special that's important for your athletes to get is part of our Strength in America camps. That's worth it, coming out and doing it. We've been all this time. We'll spend the time. We'll make sure they understand it. The next episode, we're going to talk a little bit more about what our summer camps entail, because we want to break that down a little bit more. Because I can tell you, when I started Strength of America 29 years ago, nobody was doing this kind of work. And I can say, luckily, we're the longest running speed and agility kids-only program in the country, 29 years running with it. And we're excited about that. However, there's more and more get involved, which we want to see. More coaches, because we can't get to everybody. However, speed training is not just, I used to play ball, here I am, and now we're going to work on speed.
Yeah, conditioning.
So we're going to go into the breakdown of what to look for. And if you're not in our area and can't get to us, we still want you to break down, listen to it, because you need to know what questions to ask for that coach or what's going on so that you're getting the most for your kids. And once you're taking advantage of them, going through it. So the next one, like I said, look for that. We'll give you information on that. Look down on the links and everything below. We'll have for the fuel chart, the guidelines, give you an idea of calories and how to break it down, the water consumption, all of that, and some sample meals to break down so you can understand the portions. And then just a list of, okay, check this off. Okay, I'll be ready for camp. We're set to go.
One last tip there. Make sure also, if you're going to the camp, I know a lot of my kids and stuff like that are going to have a week off before camp at least. With that said, make sure you're not just sitting around. Make sure you go out for some walks, you play some ball, have some fun, do an activity with some friends or something like that. So I tell you, if you come into camp and you sat on your butt on the couch the whole week and didn't have your routine ready, you're going to feel awful. And they're not asking you to go do something crazy or lit, but just get out, be active, play around with a friend, ride a bike or something like that. That way you're a little more ready for it. So
yeah, and we'll hear that a lot. I'm going to rest up for camp. Oh, that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, that's a terrible idea.
Not good.
You're not going to like the first couple days.
And the kids will figure out the camp too. Like I said, we'll see kids, that do great. Have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday camp. Everything's going terrific. And then next Monday, we'll have some of the kids that are just
having a hard time. I had in-season baseball test one day, and it was funny. I had a kid from over the weekend. He came in on Monday morning. We had testing. Broad jump was not very good. Came in Wednesday, retested. It was a foot difference. There's no way that it just got that much stronger in that amount of time. It was just that he could even tell me, it's just a better routine during the week. You go to the weekend, and it's funny. So when we talk about this sleep, nutrition, hydration, all this stuff, it can impact your performance tremendously. I mean, a foot and a broad jump there in your power development, okay, that's huge, especially when you're talking about competing and playing games and different things. You don't want to be losing out on some power, okay, especially as your season goes on and gets to the end. So be mindful of that and make sure you keep a routine. It's much easier.
And it goes to the same thing. We have kids that come out, they work hard. We don't have kids that just don't work for us. They will work. They're here. They want to get better, which is great. And they're going to work hard every day as much as they can. How are they going to get better if they're not getting their sleep, they're not eating? Yeah, they're working hard and they're going to gain. But now if every time, every rep, every position they go into in hard drive, they not only are working hard like they always are, but now they have energy, they sleep, they're eating right. Now that output is going to be so much better. What's going to happen to their vertical jump, their speed, their power? if their eating and all comes into place. That's what it's about. This is a sports performance camp. That's what we're doing for it. So we will teach them. They will learn and spend over and over going into it. But go through the checklist. Let us know if there's things, questions on, whatever to do. But this should outline it pretty well for it. Make sure you tag a teammate, coach, a league, anything else you want to get this information. Like I said, it doesn't matter. If you can't come to our camp, there's plenty of them out there. We want you safe. We want you to understand how to get ready for those. So let us know questions you've got. Make sure if you're not already, subscribe to the YouTube channel here. Make sure you subscribe to it, hit the bell notification so that not only the weekly podcast you'll get, but we've got a lot of tips and exercise on increasing speed and vertical jump and power and strength and mobility and food, all that. We're going to get into a lot of stuff. We've already got a lot of video, a lot of content there, but make sure that's there. We also have a link down there if you're a football player. We've got a free 30-day speed program, football speed program just for you guys. So there'll be a link for that so you can get access to that as well. So let us know how else we can help. Leading into summer camp, get ready for this 106 out here in Phoenix. It's going to be fun. We enjoy that time. See who's ready or not. So thanks for being part of the Strength America family. Let us know if you have any questions. Bobby, good?
That's it. Have a great day.
All right. You guys enjoy. Get ready. We'll see you next week.
See ya.